watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I am Garrett Wymer and thanks for joining us here on this Tuesday morning, live on fox35orlando.com, the Fox 35 News app, Fox Local, and today we're also streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. So thanks for joining us however you are watching us. Over this next hour, we have a lot of news to get to, but we begin by once again tracking the tropics. Meteorologist Jessica Dobson joins us now. And Jess, when you were here yesterday, that blob behind you was at only 40%, so a pretty significant jump between yesterday and today in those 24 hours.
Yeah, that's right. And this is because we're growing a lot more confident that an area of low pressure is going to form and likely a tropical depression, over the next couple of days and maybe even a tropical storm this weekend. So this is going to be for areas in the Southwest Caribbean. Now, since we don't have any specific area of low pressure to track yet, that means a lot of the forecast from here on out is just going to be more so speculation, and you kind of have to take everything with a grain of salt that we can expect a lot of changes. And also we have to keep in mind it's pretty unusual for us to see this much activity still so late in the game in terms of hurricane season, because it does end November 30th and the environment is just not nearly as ripe for development. That being said, the Caribbean waters where this is going to be developing, they are very warm still. The Gulf, not so much. So that could work in our favor. But still, that being said, we're going to watch this very closely just in case. But here's what you need to know so far. This is going to be what potentially is future Sarah. So we're kind of just in watching mode right now, watching for what's developing next and if and when we get that area of low pressure formed. The forecast cone will likely come later this week, either when we get the potential tropical cyclone issue from the National Hurricane Center or if it becomes a tropical depression or tropical storm. And then in terms of actionable things to do, so that means things like preparing your house, stocking up on groceries, supplies, things like that. It's just a little too early to do that just yet. So kind of just hold your horses a little bit before we get going in terms of doing anything to prepare, just because we're at least 9 to 10 days out from anything that could possibly bring impacts if it does. So just one of the takeaways in terms of the system. Next name on the list, though, again, is Sarah. That is after Rafael, which did make it to major hurricane strength in the Gulf, but it did not make landfall officially in the United States. It did in Cuba, though. So in terms of our weather headlines here at home, outside of the tropics, still going to be summer like today. Beautiful weather, though, arrives tomorrow. It's going to be such a nice end to the week. And of course, we're still going to be watching this disturbance in the Caribbean, of course, as well. But really what we're focusing on here at home for now is just kind of enjoying the nice stretch that we're going to have, the positive of the forecast, because today it's going to be really beautiful if you're heading out to, say, some of the local beaches. 80 in Satellite Beach through the 11 o'clock hour, lunchtime up to 81 degrees by about 1 o'clock. And then through the 4 o'clock hour, we'll make it to around 82 degrees. We do, though, have a high risk for rip currents, and they're really urging people, local officials are, to stay out of the water if possible, even if you are a strong swimmer. Swim in groups if you're going to get into the water, and also swim near a lifeguard stand just to make sure you're playing it safe, because they're really urging people that these are dangerous waters and surf is going to be pretty rough today. Just a couple of things to keep in mind. Otherwise, temperatures are going to stay above normal. Our average high is around 79 degrees. We're going to be at 86 today in Orlando. Low 80s for Flagler and Volusia counties, 81 in Palm Coast, 81 as well in Daytona Beach, and 82 in New Smyrna. Closer to Brevard County will be near the mid 80s, 84 for Titusville and 83 for Cocoa Beach. But most of our inland areas are going to be closer to the mid to upper 80s versus the lower 80s. That being said, we do have a couple of very isolated shower chances. Similar to yesterday, it hardly rained at all yesterday, and that's going to be kind of what we're expecting today. A couple of coastal showers can't be ruled out, especially with this easterly flow we have. So you'll notice that 20% chance it's going to be mostly for the beaches. A couple of these could try to creep further inland, but that'll be something we keep a close eye on. Otherwise, in terms of this next big cool down we have on the way, we actually have a couple of reinforcing shots of cooler air on the way. And these are going to come in the form of fronts. One of those is going to arrive as we head closer towards around Thursday night. That will give way to such a nice stretch for this weekend. This weekend really couldn't be a whole lot better. It's going to be pleasant, dry, not as humid. The dew points are going to be lower, just all good news on all fronts in terms of the weekend forecast. So 77 for our high on Saturday, 79 on Sunday. And what this doesn't show is the fact that we'll be throughout the overnight hours, I should say, we'll be in the 50s. So mid to upper 50s, right? Mid to upper 50s at that, but we will take it. But when it comes to the 7-day forecast, just a little breezy, a spotty shower chance with that easterly flow through about Thursday, and then the upper 70s expected pretty much all the way from Friday into the weekend, maybe a small warm up for Monday. But looking out ahead, I would say closer towards about middle parts of next week, we could see temperatures actually fall down into the low 50s, maybe the 40s for some spots. We're starting to get some signals of that. So it's still a little ways out, but it'll be exciting to talk about that and maybe get out the coat again.
Yeah. I was gonna say definitely now is the time to prepare. You told us to hold off on hurricane or tropical storm preparations, but we do need to prepare for that fall weather and grab those jackets out of the closet wherever you put it. I think mine might be in storage. I'm not sure what I did with it when I moved down here, so I might have to find it.
Mine's somewhere, I think, deep within my closet in a box probably still. But yeah, when it comes to the forecast with the tropics, just stay close to the forecast. There's nothing imminent either just yet. There's nothing concerning, but we will keep you posted if there is. So yeah, maybe just get the coat out in the meantime.
All right, Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Jessica Dobson, we appreciate it. And we have a lot of now other news to get to here on this Tuesday morning. We want to let you know something that is coming up in our next block, and that is we're learning more about sentencing and how many years in prison that a suspect accused of leading investigators on a high-speed shootout on I-4. We now know the time that he is going to spend in prison, so we will have that coming up for you here in just a few minutes. But first, a wave of racist texts being sent to phones all across the country, and federal investigators say many of the targets, the devices belong to young black Americans. One mother told Fox 35's Hannah McKenzie her daughter got the troubling text.
You have been selected to pick cotton at the nearest plantation.
Kim Keller shocked by the text, and she wasn't even the recipient.
My first thought was, how do they know who you are? How did they get your information?
Keller's 13-year-old daughter got this message Wednesday night. So did at least a dozen of her Howard Middle School classmates. The rest of the message reading, "Be ready at 1 p.m. sharp with your belongings. Our executive slaves will come get you in a brown van. Be prepared to be searched down once you enter the plantation. You are in Plantation Group B."
It's 2024. It's not okay. And it's not okay that it's not being talked about.
People across the country receiving various versions of this same text. The anonymous senders predominantly targeting black minors. The FBI and the Justice Department are aware, and the FCC is investigating.
The depth of information required to do this by knowing a phone number and coordinating that with a minor and their race, gender, everything else that they have, that's actually some extremely deep information.
Matt Aubin with Southern Recon Agency specializes in cyber intelligence.
That has to come from a very well put together database of intel. My first opinion on that would probably be through DMV type data.
People are 13. They've never been to the DMV.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's interesting. So okay, I gotta be honest. That's kind of like a left hook right there.
Aubin says one theory is the information was obtained in a data breach. Another, it was accessed by hacking into self-reported information.
And we're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we will be right back with more after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning and welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I am Garrett Wymer and thanks for joining us here on this Tuesday morning. We have learned the federal sentence for 29-year-old Francisco Cabrera. 38 years in prison, the sentence. He's accused of leading a joint task force on a high-speed shootout on I-4 back in January of 2022. He pleaded guilty to a handful of charges, and today in Lakeland, U.S. Attorney Roger Handberg broke down the sequence of events that led to Cabrera's arrest, and he also breaks down the charges against this crime spree.
The defendant, Francisco Cabrera, was a violent criminal who engaged in a terrible crime spree. Over a period of just 6 days, Cabrera committed 3 armed robberies, a carjacking, attempted murders of police officers and federal agents, and a dangerous high-speed chase on I-4. Because of the hard work and dedication of the Lakeland Police Department, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, and ATF, the defendant's crime spree was stopped. The defendant was arrested, and he was indicted by a federal grand jury and charged with every possible federal violation, including robbery, carjacking, attempted murder, and possession of a firearm. Cabrera was convicted. He pled guilty to 9 separate federal crimes, and last week a federal judge in Tampa sentenced Cabrera to 38 years in federal prison for his crime spree. Let me tell you some additional details about this case and the outstanding work that law enforcement did on it. Francisco Cabrera's crime spree started on January 13th of 2022. On that day, he walked into Puffy's Smoke Shop in Plant City and selected a number of items. As he was standing at the checkout, Cabrera brandished a black pistol and demanded the clerk give him money from the register. During the robbery, Cabrera removed the magazine from the firearm in an effort to further intimidate the victim. That is something that he repeated again in another robbery. Cabrera's crime spree continued the next day. On January 14, 2022, at 10:25 in the morning, Cabrera entered Hazy Days Smoke Shop in Brandon. And just like in his prior robbery, Cabrera selected a number of items and approached the clerk as if he was going to be checking out. At the register, Cabrera pulled out a handgun and demanded money from the clerks. Cabrera once again removed the magazine from the pistol, showed the clerk the bullets, and said, "This is for real." After displaying the loaded magazine, Cabrera reinserted it into the pistol while pointing it at the victims. Cabrera's criminal conduct continued to escalate from there. A few days later, on January 17, 2022, Cabrera entered a Marathon gas station in Plant City and approached the clerk with a case of beer. He brandished a pistol while simultaneously demanding money from the cash register. Cabrera pulled the slide of the firearm, showed the bullet to the victim, and said, "Give me the money or I will shoot you." 2 days later, on January 19, 2022, Cabrera returned to the same Marathon gas station. This time he committed a carjacking. He saw several co-workers from the gas station getting gas in separate vehicles. He approached the driver of one of the vehicles, pointed a gun at them, and told them to get out. As Cabrera attempted to leave, the victim's co-workers used one of their vehicles in an effort to try to block Cabrera from leaving. But Cabrera would not be deterred. Through the windshield, Cabrera pointed a black firearm at those individuals, threatened them, and they moved out of the way, and Cabrera fled. Hours later, detectives from the Lakeland Police Department and agents from ATF located Cabrera in Plant City. The officers turned on their lights and sirens and began their pursuit. Cabrera fled, tearing through Plant City, eventually getting on I-4 eastbound towards Lakeland. What happened next was an 11-mile police chase. During that 11-mile police chase, Cabrera traveled at speeds exceeding 100 miles an hour. Cabrera put many people in danger that day. He nearly crashed into a truck. He drove through red lights and into oncoming traffic, causing vehicles to take evasive actions, and he almost hit several other vehicles. If that were not dangerous enough, Cabrera repeatedly opened fire on police officers and federal agents as he was fleeing. In total, Cabrera fired approximately 8 to 15 gunshots at 7 different police officers. On one occasion, 2 officers were outside of their vehicles in front of Cabrera attempting to deploy stop sticks, but Cabrera would not be deterred. He drove straight at them, pulling his gun out of the window and firing at them, striking the hood of one of their vehicles. Out of concern that Cabrera was going to kill someone, and after determining that no other civilians or law enforcement would be in danger, an ATF special agent fired at Cabrera, striking him twice in his lower back. Lakeland police officers and ATF agents then surrounded Cabrera, who was still, true to form, resisting arrest. Police officers immediately provided Cabrera medical assistance, saving the life of the man who had just tried to kill them. The work that law enforcement did on this case in making sure this community was protected is really to be commended. No civilians, no member of law enforcement were injured during this crime spree. But make no doubt about it, Cabrera's criminal rampage endangered the lives of people throughout Polk and Hillsborough counties. To him, it did not matter who you were, whether you were an employee working a shift at a store, whether you were a person filling your tank of gas at a gas station, whether you were a police officer attempting to do a traffic stop, or whether you were just someone driving on I-4, no one was safe. Because of the outstanding investigation done by the Lakeland Police Department, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, and ATF, Cabrera was apprehended and his crime spree was stopped. Cabrera was federally charged. He was convicted, and he will now be spending 38 years in a federal prison. The law enforcement agencies who worked on this case, well, they're to be commended. Given Cabrera's pattern of escalation during his crime spree, the work that law enforcement did on this case undoubtedly saved lives. This investigation is one great example among many of how local and federal investigators are able to effectively work together to protect our community. In the last year, my office has worked hand in hand with the Lakeland Police Department, the Polk County Sheriff's Office, ATF, and the State Attorney's Office on cases arising from crimes committed here in Polk County. And we've seen some extraordinary results. Working with our law enforcement partners, my office has federally charged over 50 defendants who have committed federal crimes in Polk County. Those offenses have included large-scale drug trafficking, possession of firearms and machine guns, money laundering, robbery, carjacking, bank fraud, and various shooting-related offenses. I'm here today to commend the agencies for their outstanding work on the Francisco Cabrera case, as well as every other case they've investigated in which my office has prosecuted in federal court. Investigations of this breadth and scope are not easy, nor are they always quick. These cases require meticulous work by excellent investigators to put together the evidence that will support prosecutions to combat violent crime. And that is what we have with the agencies who serve the people of Polk and Hillsborough counties. I want to commend them for working together as a team to develop the evidence that led to the federal conviction in this case and so many others that we work together. Through their excellent work and partnership, more than 50 defendants have been charged in federal court. Let this be a message to anyone who seeks to commit violent crime in this community. As you can see from the law enforcement agencies here today, and as you've heard from the incredible work that they did on this case, you will be investigated. And if you endanger the lives of our citizens and law enforcement, we will use every lawful tool that we have to hold you accountable for your crimes, no matter where you operate or no matter how you try to hide. And if you have violated federal law, the United States Attorney's Office will seek to pursue charges against you in federal court. We're united together in our mission to keep this community safe.
And we're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus. As we do so, leave you with a view of I-4 from our tower here in Lake Mary on this sunny Tuesday morning. Keep it right here. More Fox 35 News Plus coming up after this.
Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us here on this Tuesday morning, live on Fox35Orlando.com, the Fox 35 News app, Fox Local, and today we're also streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. So thanks for joining us and seeing what Fox 35 News Plus is all about here. Well, it's a scare in the skies that really could have been a lot worse than it ended up being. A Spirit flight that left Florida was hit by gunfire as it landed in Haiti. Fox 35's Marley Capper gives us the details on that.
Definitely very scary when you think that you're going to take a routine flight and then something else happened. This flight, like you mentioned, left out of Florida and it was supposed to land in Haiti, but it landed in another country and it landed with bullets. Now, passengers on this flight talked to Fox News, say they heard a loud bang and then eerie calm as the pilot changed the course. So like I mentioned, Spirit Airlines going to Haiti is a pretty routine flight, so it's really crazy that this happened. As they're about to land, bullets ripped through the hull of the plane. The crew quickly reacted and diverted the plane to the Dominican Republic and away from Haiti for safety. After landing, an inspection found clear damage to the aircraft consistent with gunfire. The U.S. Embassy in Haiti said the security situation is both unpredictable and dangerous. Fox 35 talked to a Boeing captain and professor with Florida Tech about the dangers when traveling to certain areas. Here's what he had to say.
When I'm flying, when we fly over these different international areas, is to have a good understanding of the security issues that are going on, not just for the airports we're going to, but also airports that or countries that we're crossing over. You don't want to do a last minute divert someplace and discover they're having a civil war. So knowledge of what's going on in the international arena is important for pilots.
Thankfully, the pilot and the crew acted very quickly. The airline confirmed a flight attendant suffered minor injuries, but no passengers were hurt. So all U.S. airlines canceled flights to Haiti after the situation on Monday. JetBlue says they're actually going to extend that halt of flights to the country until December 2nd. Spirit Airlines did confirm that that plane is out of commission since it is damaged and that they won't be flying to Haiti until their investigation is complete.
Yeah, scary situation for sure there. Well, a number of Florida politicians are moving on up, and it's going to create a bit of a domino effect here in Florida politics. This is as President-elect Trump's cabinet begins to come into focus here, and a number of Florida politicians playing some big roles in the Trump administration. Political analyst Rich Rubino was on Good Day Orlando this morning to talk about it.
Well, the power of Florida politics in the spotlight this morning. President-elect Donald Trump has asked Senator Marco Rubio to act as Secretary of State, and Congressman Mike Waltz will serve as National Security Advisor. Of course, Senator Rick Scott picked up an endorsement from Elon Musk as he lobbies to be the next Senate Majority Leader. Scott facing competition, though, from Senator John Cornyn of Texas and Senator John Thune of South Dakota. A lot to talk about this morning, and joining us to break some of this down is political analyst Rich Rubino. Rich, always good to have you on. Good morning.
Thank you so much for having me on again.
Let's start with Senator Scott. He's got some high-profile endorsements, but the question is, does he have enough votes in a competitive three-senator race that is all a secret race?
It's a very good question. I think the establishment of the Republican Party would probably prefer someone like John Thune, who's currently the #2 person, the whip right behind Mitch McConnell. But he's also somebody who endorsed Tim Scott over Donald Trump, who's not really seen as a MAGA-type Republican. You can say the same about John Cornyn, very much kind of an establishment Republican, if you will. I think that Donald Trump, the administration, and any sort of a MAGA-type Republican would probably be more palatable to supporting Rick Scott. And my guess is there'll be surreptitious efforts to get him to become the Senate Majority Leader. He just off a re-election bid, very tough re-election bid, and he's very much in the mega mold.
Rich, just about 15 seconds. The secret vote. What's the reason behind that?
It's basically what they do because it's so that the senators, it's like the Australian ballot that the voters have, where the voters can just choose the candidate without kind of having to without having the influence of people having to kind of go before and vote for the person directly with people knowing about it. So it's just kind of a secret thing they do.
Yeah, don't have to burn a bridge that way for sure. Let's talk about Senator Marco Rubio. This would not come as a surprise to a lot of people. The one-time rival to Donald Trump has been very close with him over the years, tabbed as Secretary of State.
This is actually kind of interesting to me, though, because first of all, they had a very bitter rivalry when they were both running for president. Marco Rubio criticized Donald Trump, saying that he doesn't know anything about Ford bankruptcy, so that Trump had been involved with. It's really a bitter rivalry between the two. But also, he's anathema to everything Donald Trump stands for in terms of foreign policy. Donald Trump is very much a non-interventionist, talks about retrenching from the United States from international obligations. Marco Rubio is very much an interventionist, and he's somebody who supported it being 2/3 for the United States to get out of NATO, fearing that Donald Trump would try to get out of NATO. So I don't really think of can't really think of many examples in history. We have a president maybe not only choosing someone for a different faction of the party, but choosing someone who's an actual critic of his foreign policy. So it's a very interesting situation indeed.
And it sets us up for an interesting race here as well, because the governor now will appoint that Senate position would be Marco Rubio. We also saw Congressman Michael Waltz, Central Florida congressman, named National Security Advisor. That would be a special election. So two interesting races to keep an eye on.
Yes, absolutely. Certainly, Governor DeSantis will now have the power to try to, assuming Marco Rubio gets nominated rather, to appoint somebody. That person would serve out the remainder of Marco Rubio's term, but there would be a special election in 2026, and then in 2028, the candidate would have to run again. In terms of Mike Waltz, and this is the same thing with Elisa Stefanik, who's theoretically going to become the new UN ambassador. It's interesting because those are two seats that Donald Trump is going to lose in terms of they're likely to go for a Republican, obviously, but in the meantime, in such a very close House of Representatives, you need every vote, and those are two members that if they resign between the time they resign and the special election, they will not have those members of Congress, and it could actually have deleterious effects on Donald Trump in terms of getting his legislative agenda through a very close House of Representatives.
Yeah, a lot of different layers of this. We'll see exactly when they put in their formal moving on, because at that point we'll see. But Rich, a lot to watch. Appreciate you breaking it down.
Thank you so much for having me on again.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see for sure, especially with likely going to be very small margins in the House of Representatives. You heard them talking about those seats kind of being open. Certainly going to be incentive to get those seats filled very quickly. Well, in Volusia County last weekend, deputies busted a suspected diesel fuel siphoning ring. The Seminole County Crime Center had tipped deputies off about the suspected vehicle, a Chrysler minivan. And when deputies spotted that van at a Deltona gas station, the driver ran off. I want to show you this about 2.5 minute long body camera video from the Volusia County Sheriff's Office showing that confrontation with the suspect.
Yeah, bro, I see you. Keep going in. It's the gold van. It's facing right at you as soon as you come in back then.
All right. We're going to take them down. This is 6 moving in. We can see them from here.
He must have just went inside then, guys, because he just pulled in. I went to go get cover.
Waffle House employees are pointing at somebody.
I got him. Stop! Let me see your hands! We're running through the McDonald's right now, guys, going towards Deltona Boulevard. Hispanic male, black shirt, blue jeans, right here. Stop, stop. Let me see your hands, Sheriff's Office, stop. Stop now. Stop. Sheriff's Office, stop! Show me your hands! Show me your hands on the ground now! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the f***ing ground! We got him behind the racetrack. One secure. Hey, I want his stomach, roll him on his side so he can breathe better from this running. There we go. You speak English? ¿Habla español? All right, perfect.
X-ray 42 has one secure.
Oh, because there's a bunch of gas tanks in the back. That's why it smells like gas.
So you can see the drums.
No, I think this is blocked too.
They might have it actually blacked out black. Yeah, that tint's real dark. It's like 0%. Yeah.
Not good. No speak English. No bueno. What happened? You know what happened.
So
Check this out.
33-year-old
I'm going to show you how I
33-year-old Henry Gonzalez Ortega, the suspect in that case, arrested, as you saw in the body camera video there. There was also another suspect who was later arrested, 35-year-old Jose Garcia Aguila. Well, we are going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we will be right back after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
And welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I am Garrett Wymer. Thanks for joining us here on this Tuesday morning. Well, deputies in Orange County are reminding folks to put their best foot forward and also remembering a fallen comrade of theirs. Orange County Deputy First Class Norman Lewis died in a motorcycle crash during a countywide manhunt for now convicted cop killer Markeith Lloyd. Fox 35's Amanda McKenzie was at a memorial this morning, which also doubled as an initiative to remind drivers to keep an eye out for pedestrians and motorcyclists.
Absolutely, and we are in Avalon Park where you can see Orange County deputies behind me gearing up to remind drivers during this morning rush to be mindful of pedestrians in the crosswalk. And you may also notice the street sign here. It says Norman Lewis Alley, and that is in memory of Norman Lewis, who we were just speaking about. And right next to me I have his mother, Norma, and you said this was a complete surprise to you with the sign.
It is, but it is truly a blessing, and your work will speak for you even when you're dead and gone. So Norman worked very hard, and he loved doing what he did, and that was sharing the love that he had with others.
And the message today was also to help pay it forward and help save lives in other ways. Talk about what you discussed with the deputies this morning.
Well, Norman grew up doing missionary work at an early age, and it included helping, providing, doing things that for the seniors that they couldn't do. He would take care of it. Today, we're trying to prevent accidents from happening because he was one that got killed, the deputy that got killed on January 9th, 2017, due to a gentleman not following the laws and obeying the rules for safety.
Absolutely. And looking at the larger picture now, we are also joined by Bike Walk Central Florida, Kayla Mitchell. And you said you even just saw a sign warning other drivers to be safe because there's a mother with children that lives nearby. Talk about the significance of today with why we want people to be careful.
Right, so today is Operation Best Foot Forward. We want to be mindful of pedestrians and crosswalks because world traffic crashes are the #1 killer of youths age 5 to 29. We are doing this in honor of World Day Remembrance, so we are remembering those who have lost their lives to traffic crashes.
And this is a very busy intersection here this morning. A lot of drivers on the road and students going to school as well. If they are pulled over, what are the penalties?
The driver will receive 3 points on their license and a $166 fine.
And talk about how many people have been reported as far as any accidents this year.
I don't know exactly how many
Yeah,
crashes.
we saw that, yes, there were several in the news release talking about many injuries for folks who weren't paying attention in crosswalks. And this is just one of many events that you all will be doing throughout the rest of the year.
Absolutely. We do one every quarter.
Well, thank you so much. We will continue to watch what everyone accomplishes here this morning. Norma, thank you so much for joining us. I know you really make a difference here, bringing your presence to the folks. And you were also telling us that you are pursuing another career. Tell us quickly what that is.
Yes, absolutely. I will be returning back to college to finish my criminal justice degree, and I will also complete my seminary degree and become a chaplain. So we have a large family that is in law enforcement, and we have a total of over 65 years in. So we are about obeying, enforcing, and doing what needs to be done.
And you won't stop. You can keep going.
No, ma'am. We have a job to do. These young children that are coming up is our future. And if we don't help them to know the laws and abide by the laws, they will receive consequences. So that is our duty. And so I'm raising my right hand now because I will continue to do what I do.
Thank you, Norma.
Thank you.
All right, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Well, meanwhile, in downtown Orlando, there are bracing for some changes that will be implemented coming up on Friday. This is in the aftermath of the shooting in downtown Orlando on Halloween night. So after that, we saw the state of emergency issued for the downtown entertainment area that implemented a curfew and a limit on alcohol sales. That has since ended, but we know now that there will be more law enforcement officers out and about in downtown. There will also be traffic being reintroduced to Orange Avenue in those late night hours. All of this to end what the mayor has called the street party atmosphere of downtown Orlando and try to increase safety. Fox 35's Hannah McKenzie spoke with the owner of the Celine nightclub, who said his nightclub took a hit with that curfew, but he hopes his club will continue to bounce back.
Look, this past weekend was EDC. We obviously had a partnership with them. We hosted one of their pre-parties and then several of their after parties. So on Thursday night, we actually wound up canceling our pre-party because unfortunately we didn't catch wind of the curfew being lifted on Thursday until it was too late. So we had already made the decision the night before, mainly out of respect for the ticket holders and our staff and our patrons, to just let them know, like, look, unfortunately with that 12 a.m. curfew, we just can't operate profitably. So we just decided to close. And then later that afternoon on Thursday, they wound up actually lifting it. But by then it was too late. The damage was already done. But we did have a successful Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We had 3 great events. Some artists that, these are internationally touring DJs and artists that came. They had a great time. Our guests had a great time. So thankfully it was business as usual for us this past weekend.
So this weekend is going to be a little bit different with the opening up of Orange Ave. At least one lane will be open to vehicle traffic. I guess the point is to stop like the street party atmosphere downtown. How do you think that's going to impact business?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, look, me personally, I'm glad to see that street party atmosphere is being addressed. As far as I know, the city has laws that prevent loitering. They also have a law against, minors being in that district past 10 p.m. So it'd be really great to see the city and the police to start enforcing that. And it sounds like they're taking some steps to do that now. So I see that as a positive. But yeah, look, for people, it's one thing to you're walking off across the street or going to another bar. I mean, that's what downtown's all about, is to having that, connectivity and everything in one place. But when people start hanging out on the street and drinking and look, that's not a benefit to anyone. So we share that, I guess, sentiment with the police and with the city, and I guess we'll see how that goes. But we're in favor of that move.
So is this maybe, the best solution you've seen thus far, opposed to the curfew, the limiting of alcohol sales? There were talks about just designating the whole place as an entertainment district. Is this the best, solution you've seen so far?
I mean, look, time will tell, but I think, I always believe you gotta, you never know until you go. So I guess, we'll see how it plays out over time. But I mean, look, to be fair, it's, if we kind of look at what happened over Halloween weekend, there was a large police presence. The shooting took place steps from officers. So, unfortunately, there's guns and there's people that do really terrible things. So will that stop? I'm not sure. I think they're far and few between, but again, I think that closing the streets, opening the streets back up for traffic is not a bad thing. And more importantly, like keeping people just from loitering. I think that's, to me, the most important step they can take.
And then you brought up a great point at the beginning of the interview. You said, it's like up to you guys to control what happens behind, your business doors. What are some safety protocols that you guys do at Celine?
Yeah, so we obviously look to come the majority of the events that we do at Celine, like, they're event driven. I mean, imagine it's just like going to see a show at the arena downtown or the Dr. Phillips Center. Like, we have talent, we have shows, we have performances, and people are buying tickets to that event. So, right off the bat, we kind of filter our crowd through tickets. So you need a ticket to get into the show. So we start with that. But in terms of like safety, we do ID checks. We have an ID scanning system. We do pat downs. And we also have metal detectors for wanding. So, and then throughout our venue, we do have, a security presence that are there to, in case something were to happen, kind of diffuse the situation.
And we are going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus. When we come back, we are talking theme parks with our Parks VIP, Theron White. Going to talk a little bit about what to expect in Universal Super Nintendo Land. Also, talking the holiday festivities at theme parks around our area. So what events do you want to check out? What is it that's okay to miss? We will have all that for you coming up on the other side of this break. So keep it right here on Fox 35 News Plus.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
And welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I am Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us here on this Tuesday morning, live on fox35orlando.com, the Fox 35 News app, Fox Local, and also streaming live today on Facebook and YouTube. So we appreciate you joining us and seeing what Fox 35 News Plus is all about. And we want to talk some theme parks now, because we got our first look last night at the Donkey Kong Country ride that is coming to Universal's Super Nintendo Land in Japan. And why does that matter here in Central Florida? Well, that is because Nintendo has confirmed that it is nearly identical to the ride that's going to open at Epic Universe in Orlando on May 22nd. And so joining us live now to talk about this is our Parks VIP, Theron White, who is the lead publisher of EYNTK.info. And Theron, we appreciate you joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus.
I'm always happy to join.
All right, so talk us through your initial thoughts of seeing what this Donkey Kong ride looks like.
So we've known for a while that the Donkey Kong attraction is going to be something that's totally unique in the entire world. So Japan's going to get it first, Orlando is going to get it this upcoming May, but it's a roller coaster that basically jumps off the track. Now, you're going to be safely attached, you know, it is part of it, but the illusion is that you're jumping off the track just like some of Donkey Kong's mine carts. I am so incredibly excited for this. I am not even, to be honest, a big Donkey Kong fan. I've not really played the Donkey Kong games, but as soon as this was announced, they've talked about it, I was immediately sold. And seeing now in person, you know, we're going to get this very shortly here in Orlando, but there in Japan, it's complete. It's opening in just a month. It looks amazing, and it looks like they have lived up to everything that they initially told us in their concepts.
And so we're also learning more a little bit about kind of the that area of the park as well. What have we learned?
So we've learned a couple things. I had to grab my little Toad hat here to kind of get in theme for this. But we're going to have a ton of Nintendo merchandise. Some of it is ridiculous just like this, and some of it is going to be in theme to some of the games. So we know we're going to have Donkey Kong specific merchandise. We're also going to have Donkey Kong specific food and drink items. And then there's actually going to be an expansion of the games. So Super Nintendo World in Japan and Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Hollywood already have games that are related to Mario. So you can get what are called power-up bands. You can jump up and you can punch like the question mark blocks and play those games. That's going to be expanded when Donkey Kong Country opens at Super Nintendo World in Japan, as well as for Epic Universe here in Orlando. You're going to be able to play with drums, and then an animatronic will actually come out and congratulate you that you've done a great job. And we've already learned that there's going to be no screens when it comes to this new land. They are being so focused on doing physical props, doing physical interactions. So to bring a video game world into the real world is already difficult, but to do it without the use of screens and focus just on animatronics and real world props, they showed some of that in their video. I'm hoping to see even more. It looks like they've got a lot lined up.
I love the idea of that, really making that an immersive experience in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. They're trying to make it the video game world into the physical world as much as they possibly can. And between the animatronics, and they have now confirmed that Donkey Kong himself will be a meet and greet character that you can go up to, you can give a hug, you can give a fist bump. So you're going to be able to meet him, just like you can meet Toad, Princess Peach, Mario, and Luigi. It's just more characters that they're going to be adding to that park when it eventually opens in May.
All right, let's shift gears here a little bit. And talk holiday festivities, because we know those are getting underway at Disney World. So what events are worth making it part of your schedule to see this winter?
So there's going to be a lot. When you're visiting Disney World, one of the things that's nice is that Disney, not everything is behind a paywall when it comes to Christmas. Two of the things I wanted to mention is the Jingle Cruise that's over at the Magic Kingdom. And if you have a regular Magic Kingdom Day ticket, you're going to be able to go on a Christmas edition of the Jungle Cruise. They add in some Christmas specific jokes. They're going to have a little bit of theming throughout the queue and inside of the ride itself. And then over at Epcot, the Living with the Land is going to have the glimmering greenhouses. So you'll go through the greenhouses, but they've got Christmas lights set up, they've got special decorations, Christmas trees, and so it's nice that they add some of that stuff in without you having to pay extra. Now, if you do want to pay extra for a little bit more, Disney's got the Very Merry Christmas Party, and that happens every single year at the Magic Kingdom. They're going to have special fireworks, they're going to be giving out cookies and hot cocoa, there's going to be a parade, and that is extremely popular every single year. Last year, Disney started at Disney's Hollywood Studios. It was called Jollywood Nights. It was met with a lot of criticism last year, but this year Disney added a ton of more entertainment and a couple of other photo ops and other experiences and shows, and it looks like it's doing a lot better this year. Now, they are going to be pricey. Some of them are more expensive than buying a single day ticket, but the Jollywood Nights is definitely aimed a little bit more at an older crowd. You're going to have some of the Muppets. You're going to see a sing-along with Belle. You're going to be able to have those photo ops as well as specific bars. And then Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, if you've never been, it is about as Christmas as you're possibly going to get when it's 85 degrees in Orlando. Between snow falling through the park and the lights and the projection mapping and the fireworks, and a lot of the Disney characters that you can meet there that night are going to be dressed up with their holiday outfits as well. So both of them are two great options. Just depends on which way you're kind of feeling on leaning.
Christmas time at Disney is one of those things that I know a lot of people look forward to. A lot of folks come from all over to experience Disney at Christmas time with some of these holiday events. What's your favorite? What makes it so special, do you think?
I think Disney's done a really good job at nailing different versions of Christmas. So if you go to their different parks, they do Christmas very differently in all the parks. Magic Kingdom is going to do a lot of traditional Christmas, what you're thinking of on Christmas Day, you know, those 1950s films. Disney's Hollywood Studios will pull it all the way back to the 1920s. They purposely do kind of corny decorations, kind of things that your grandmother or even great-grandmother would probably have in her house. When you go to Disney's Animal Kingdom, as expected, they focus a lot on animals, and they even have a thing called the Merry Menagerie there, which is a fully puppet-based experience. That's also included with the day ticket. You don't need anything special for that, but it's a bunch of performers that are going to dress up with some animals that are based in colder areas of the world, and you can kind of go around in these puppets. You can interact with them, you can talk to the cast members, and you can see that. And then over at Epcot, they're always famous for their candlelight processional. Again, included with admission, you can go and see some celebrities read the candlelight. You can hear some of that music. You can learn the stories. And some of the celebrities that I wrote down on here, we're having Josh Gad, who's Olaf, Neil Patrick Harris, Jodie Benson, Brendan Fraser, Sterling K. Brown, and a bunch of others are going to be there. So it's nice that Disney, while of course doing the overall idea of Christmas, you can kind of separate it down per park for each different little feeling.
All right, and let's talk Discovery Cove, because they've got a Black Friday deal that sounds like a pretty good deal there.
It's actually kind of an insane deal. So right now they're offering 50% off to go into Discovery Cove. Some of those days are as low as $120. Now, what's great about Discovery Cove, it's part of SeaWorld, but it's a part of SeaWorld I think a lot of people don't know about. It's technically its own park sitting next to the SeaWorld Orlando park. Now, this is going to include $420, all of your food, all of your drinks, and that includes alcohol. It will also include parking. When you're inside a Discovery Cove, it's like you've stepped into Hawaii or some other tropical destination. There are beaches. There is themed lazy rivers to ride around in. You can go under a waterfall and you come out in a tropical oasis where there's going to be birds flying around and you can feed the birds. It's all included. You can go and see dolphins. And if you want to pay a little bit of extra, about $30, $40, you can even swim with those dolphins. What's so crazy about this price is if you want to go to Discovery Cove and have all of that added in, and you want to swim with dolphins, it's still cheaper to do that than it is to visit the Magic Kingdom. So no hate on Disney. I love their operations. But, I mean, for $150 to go and swim with dolphins and have everything included for that price, if you've never been to Discovery Cove, it is truly a spectacular place.
Yeah, and that is tough to beat that deal. So now's the time to hop on that, I think. So, all right, well, Theron White, EYNTK.info. We always appreciate you joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus and giving us everything we need to know and sharing your perspective.
Absolutely, always happy to join. You have a great day.
All right, you too. So a lot of things to look forward there. A lot of things to look forward to there if you are wanting to make a trip to those theme parks here soon. Well, we do want to wish a happy birthday to Paolo Banchero, still recovering from a torn right oblique right now. He is out indefinitely. Off to a big start, though, before that injury. Would love to see him come back and help fuel a playoff run for the Orlando Magic. That is going to do it for us here on Fox 35 News Plus. Leave you with the view of the theme parks along International Drive from our camera there. We appreciate you joining us, and we will be right back here with another live half hour of Fox 35 News Plus coming up at 4:30. So thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.